Hey, RetconRaider here. Today's video is dedicated to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, with special thanks to Nine Knives, Revenant, Alois, Anerdinwarpaint, Dragon Matrix 7, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, Kazorm, Lima, Nathan Welch Jr., Tomasz Piątkowski, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, let's get started. And welcome back to Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. As we gear up for the last dozen or so things on our checklist for Act 1. We're not too far off from the siege on the Great Garrison, but we do have a ways to go, which is fine. We've got about 4 more locations to explore, maybe 8 conversations, not to mention a special event, which inexplicably has not yet triggered. But with any luck, that should hopefully give us just enough experience points to hit level 6 before we hit the end cap events for Act 1. Though I suppose that might be a bit of a stretch. It's more likely we'll level up while we're at the Great Garrison. And speaking of level ups, you'll notice that I took care of ours off screen. Normally I like to do that step by step so I can walk you through my thought process, but with an ever-expanding roster plus the new pets and the retraining, that took over half an hour, and that's just too much real estate. I'd really rather spend that time adventuring. So we'll just touch on the highlights, run through it real quick. Should take about 10, maybe 15 minutes, and then we'll move on to bigger and better things. First up, we've got Vex, who, as you can see, has gone through the first stage of his retraining. And honestly, in putting this into practice, into working out the kinks and fine-tuning it a little, he hasn't changed all that much from what we originally did. His first 3 levels went into Hunter. They stayed almost exactly the same, with the main differences being 2 of his feat slots. First, instead of Weapon Finesse, we picked up Combat Reflexes, because he is going to need as many attacks of opportunity as he can get. And then at 5th level, the new level he just gained, we grabbed Boon Companion. That gives us the wiggle room we need for the 4-level dip into Knife Master, without Kaz falling behind. I will say, I am keeping this pretty simple. We're just going to do the 4-level dip, and then stay focused on Hunter for the rest of our career. We could probably get away with more. I did discuss it with a few of the Raiders and some other content creators. And, you know, there were some pretty crazy 3 or 4 class builds that could get some pretty incredible results. I'm just not a fan of that. I mean, I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I'm an old school dungeon master. I miss the days of the play what you roll single class characters. And I feel like 3rd edition and Pathfinder have kind of strayed into the realm of micromanaging munchkin builds. But, you know, it is what it is, and this is a single-player role-playing game, so I'm willing to make some concessions. And, you know, there are some undeniable benefits from even just taking this 4-level dip. For example, that's why we didn't have to take Weapon Finesse at level 1, because we get it for free with our ranks of Knife Master. Not to mention, of course, we also get early access to sneak attacking, which, as a Knife Master, we do at D8 instead of D6 per die. And we would eventually end up gaining access to sneak attack anyway, since we're following the path of the Trickster, but this gives it to us earlier, and it makes it stronger in the long run. We'll end up netting an extra 2 dice, and we'll be bumping all of those up to D8, so that does add up. In the long run, it'll also give us a couple of extra feats. We're using this to grab Trip without prereqs, plus, of course, Weapon Finesse. And we'll also be picking up Uncanny Dodge, Evasion. 2 pretty fantastic defensive abilities we wouldn't normally gain access to. And there's a couple of other things mixed in there too. Of course, that does all come at a cost. We will not be able to cap out Hunter. We'll be capping at level 16. And looking at those last 4 levels, I'm actually okay with that. I don't feel like we're missing out on a whole lot. It's mostly level 6 slots, which are spells we wouldn't really be making heavy use of anyway, and which, for the most part, Darren and Woljif will be able to cover earlier and faster. we'll miss out on the ability to intimidate animals, something that's very unlikely to come up that late in the game. And we miss out on the Hunter Capstone, which is nice, but we should be swimming in stat bonus items by the time we hit level 20, so we should be able to compensate for that. As for Kaz, not a lot to say there. He's almost exactly the same as he was before. The only new addition being Agile Maneuvers, which we grabbed as his level 5 feat. That allows him to double dip into his dexterity when he is making trip attempts. So at the moment, he's rocking plus 12 to trip attempts just from dexterity alone. That's before his other various bonuses. And we will continue stacking that, especially since with that level of Knife Master, we now have access to tandem tripping even earlier. Which means once we hit level 7 or 9, Kaz will be rolling twice on every trip attempt and taking the better of the two results. Next we've got Hey Nani Nanio, who is thankfully much more straightforward. She gains a new level of Wizard. That nets her a scroll power, some new spell slots, and we have her on the path of Precise Shot, which is of course pretty vital if we want her to hit with anything other than magic missiles or fireballs. That'll keep her tied up until about level 7, then we can start branching her out, bolster magic, spell penetration, and so on. And then we've mostly got Darren locked up with the same general path. He also needs Precise Shot, though in his case I will admit it is slightly less vital, because as a caster, we're going to be keeping him almost entirely focused on healing and defensive casts, with a few buffs on the side. His main job is just to keep everyone else alive. Then we have Cam, who is slightly more complex. She gets her 4th level of Sanctified Slayer, which nets her her first die of sneak attack. Always nice, though obviously not a game breaker. As well as some extra spells, which went into secondary divine buffs. And we grabbed Boon Companion, because as a follower of the Green Faith, she has access to Animal Domain, which means she just picked up a new companion. She is helpful, is she not? Now, I will admit, this is almost purely a flavor thing. She just felt very much like a pet wolf type of character. But it would have been more practical to go with Smilo or Trike or pretty much anything else. That said, she's not going to be a regular feature in our party. This is, again, mostly just for flavor. And I mostly stuck helpful on the same path as Kaz, just minus any multi-attack oriented stuff. Short term, the only thing that really matters is that we'll have an extra body for our raid on Worm's Mansion. And then after that, Cam will have some company, as we pretend she doesn't exist for pretty much the rest of the game. Sorry, Cam. On a slightly similar note, Lan has also gone through some hefty retraining. A little earlier than I originally planned, but I figured we might as well get it out of the way now. We've taken him off Zen Archer. He is now a Demon Slayer, which thematically feels pretty appropriate. It does mean that short term he loses a couple of bonus perks he got from Zen Archer, but he does get to keep most of the important stuff, like the Wisdom to Armor class. And Perfect Strike, he still has that. But long term, that should all even out as we gain bonus Ranger abilities. Not to mention a pretty hefty bonus against all demonic enemies, as well as access to a very modest assortment of basic Ranger spells like Hurricane Bow and Aspect of the Falcon, which honestly I find more appealing than most of those Zen Archer abilities. Plus, of course, this finally gave me an excuse to shoehorn a raptor into the party. So, say hello to Zorm. Again, it's mostly just a flavor thing. Lan is not destined to stay as a permanent member of the party, but he will be sticking around for most of Act 1 and probably Act 2, until we find his replacement. So, again, it's nice to make sure he has some company for all that story content he'll be missing out on. I mean, I guess he could technically pal around with Camellia instead, but no one wants that. Next we have Ember, who is, again, thankfully one of the simpler level ups. because she apparently had the foresight to actually come preloaded with Precise Shot. We could immediately jump into wizard stuff, so that's nice. We started with spell penetration, then we'll go from there into school specialization, evocation, fire affinity, bolster, meta magic. I figured that'll probably keep her busy out to about level 11, maybe 13. And then we might start dipping into necromancy. The witch spell list does really kind of lean you in that direction. I have heard that you can apparently bolster stat-draining necromancy spells, so I'd kind of like to try that out. On a similar note, Waldjif is also fairly straightforward. We're keeping him on Eldritch Scoundrel. I have seen some interesting suggestions for Arcane Trickster, or even something else entirely. And while it is tempting to get those extra sneak attack dice and extra spell power, we already have an Arcane Striker. That is Ember's job. So I felt like it would be kind of redundant to have two of those in the party. Instead, we'll keep Waldjif focused on being a second-row striker. He'll come up behind the main guys to poke people with knives, and then his other main duty will be an extended arcane buffer. He'll be the guy who keeps the whole party rolling in buffs 24/7 for every extended adventure, so we don't have to sit through a ton of buffing segments every other session. Aside from that, I did not end up retraining him, because it was silly. All I would have been doing is moving 1 point from dexterity to intelligence to gain extra skill points slightly faster. But instead, I just ended up dumping his skill points into Arcana this level up, so he can scribe scrolls. And we'll just bump up his intelligence later, and then he can even everything out. Not a big deal. Vex and Kaz already have him beat on mobility anyway. Which finally brings us to Seela. And again, I kept this simple. There is a lot you can do with Seela. She's one of the more flexible party members, in large part because you get her at such an early level. But I'm fine with her as a paladin. I think it suits her, and I think it's a perfectly serviceable class. So yeah, we kept her as a paladin. She picked up her divine mount, which I named Risk because there is no glory without risk. And it's all pretty straightforward. Aside from actually having a horse like she's supposed to, instead of the Smilo she had back in the beta, I've more or less kept her the same as I did during the beta series. Teamwork feats early on, some armor and defensive stuff later, and eventually we'll lean her into stuff like Intimidating Prowess, Cornigan Smash, Dread Carnage, and so on. Though we may or may not still be using her at that point. Anyway, that's it. That's our level ups. At least the general gist of it. Feel free to let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and as always, I will certainly take your suggestions under consideration. Just keep in mind, I did deliberately keep some of these decisions simple, some of it was just for flavor, and aside from Darren, Waldjif, and Ember, I don't think any of these characters are going to really be part of our main party past Act 2. Nenio's a maybe, but it's just hard to fit her in there when we already have Waldjif and Ember in permanent slots. At any rate, we've still got a fair chunk of time to play with, so let's hit the pause button real quick and I'll pick a few things off our to-do list. We'll be right back. And we are back. Now, I figure we've got about 60-ish minutes left to play with, about an hour. And I want to go for a blend of story and combat content, so I penciled us in for 2 quick conversations. And then after that, we'll grab Cam and Helpful, and we'll book it for Gorm's Mansion. That should make for a decent blend. Oh, and also, in preparing to hit the record button again, I noticed someone appears to have placed a severed human head in our inventory, which, you know, is slightly alarming, especially after we found that pile of decapitated corpses back in the marketplace, but I'm sure that's normal. It's probably just Kaz being Kaz, you know, cats and their lovely gifts. So I'll just store that away in case someone comes looking for it, maybe. Yeah. And we'll worry about that later. Anyway. Nenio. Boy, I am pleased with you. I asked you to bring me to safety, and that's exactly what you did. Indeed, having a follower to aid me is most efficient and, frankly, pleasing. With you on hand, I shall conquer new horizons, plumb the depths of knowledge hitherto unknown, and scale the dizzying heights of future discoveries. Nenio stops to catch her breath. What I mean is that I would like to express my deepest gratitude. I foresee immense potential in our future cooperation. Yeah, about that. Could you define future cooperation? Hand in hand, we will unravel the greatest mysteries inaccessible to the minds of ordinary people. Just imagine it, I leading the way, proudly staring into the faces of the gods themselves, and you, my loyal follower, walking behind me every step of the way, writing down my deepest thoughts and admiring the profundity of my intellect. Well, how would I be following you writing your words if we're also hand in... I'm sorry, what? You are the catalyst which, when it reacts with my intellect, will allow the latter to grasp the very essence of the universe itself. You're not even hearing anything I'm saying right now, are you? Please, do continue. What? Who are you? Nenio stares at you for a while, bewilderment in her eyes. But then it is replaced by recognition. Oh, yes, my new follower. So what am I supposed to do? Oh, yes, I must provide some verbal encouragement for your as-yet modest achievements, and try to induce you to strive for more of such encouragement. That is the principle that underpins any training. She frowns, but only for an instant. Ah, I see. Your modest nature was unsettled by the overabundance of my gratitude. I do apologize for putting you in such an awkward position. I will never praise you again. Unless I forget. Actually, I'm fine with praise, but... and you've already stopped listening, right? But let's get back to the business at hand. Your new assignment will be to take me to the inconspicuous ruins that are located in an even more inconspicuous valley lying between Kenabres and Dresden as soon as is reasonably practical. I'll mark the place on your map with a large red cross, so you won't forget it. You know what? That actually does sound intriguing. What's with the ruins? I'm glad you asked. This is my greatest hypothesis, my secret project, and I won't pass up the opportunity to share it with you. Because you are my most loyal follower, and you are worthy of possessing such knowledge. Nenio rubs her nose. And also because you are the first person to ever ask me about it. Some time ago, I was walking around the border of the World Wound, and I met a strange person. He was wearing a frayed gray robe, and his face was hidden behind an old white mask. Of course, I didn't miss the opportunity to ask him about the reasons for his absurd appearance. And do you know what he said to me? He said, "I am the answer, but what is the question?" Then he walked off in the direction of the World Wound. The next day, after I had already forgotten about that first encounter, I had another similar encounter. This time I met an elven woman, judging by the pointy ears sticking out from behind the mask. "I am the answer, but what is the question?" she said, before taking off toward the World Wound. And then I realized. Everything became clear to me. I know a mystery when I see one. Consider this one of my myriad talents. Nenio rubs the tip of her nose. After all these geysers weren't simply on their way to a costume party, were they? After examining several maps, I determined that they were all headed in one direction. Story of my life? To a place not far from Kenabres. A place which is marked as Nameless Ruins, even on ancient Sarkorian maps. That is where I need to go. Unraveling the secret of that place will be my greatest discovery. It will secure my place in history. Or perhaps even legend. Okay, that does sound great, but I have a few quick questions if you don't mind. Like, how and why? Do you know how to find a beehive in a forest? You need to catch 2 bees, set them free in 2 different locations, and remember the directions they fly in. Then you take a map and draw lines showing the bees' routes. The place where the lines intersect will mark the location of the beehive. Fascinating, yes? By the way, forest bees do not make any honey. Nenio sighs. Gonna write that down. Nenio likes honey. I use the beehive principle here, too. For a couple of months, I tracked the strange people in the masks and observed the direction in which they were traveling. I collected the coordinates, mapped their estimated routes, and made a discovery. All the routes intersected at the nameless ruins, not far from Kenabres. That actually sounds pretty intriguing. What do you think's there? I haven't the slightest idea. If I knew what was hidden there, I wouldn't be so eager to go. Fair. You know, this looks to be pretty close by. What do you need me for? Nenio's eyes seem ready to pop out of their sockets in surprise. Don't you see? This is the legendary secret place. Who knows what may happen to me after I lift the veil and uncover the workings of the universe? My mortal body may be unable to contain all that knowledge, or perhaps I will ascend and become equal to the gods themselves. I need you to write down everything that happens and report my fate to the interested parties in Absalom. And don't forget to praise me as I deserve while you're there. Sure, yeah, I feel silly for even having asked the question. This could just end up being normal ruins. Nenio shrugs. In that case, we'll write this experiment off as a failure and start another one. I don't know which experiment I'll try next. Well, okay, I guess that's that then. Thank you for answering my questions about whatever that was. Well, now you know. So, off we go. Nenio frowns. Did I just make a rhyme? Perhaps I've discovered poetic talent in myself. Let's conduct an experiment. Quickly, say any word and I'll try to find a rhyme for it right away. Science? That's when thinkers make alliance. Intellectual defiance. Wow, that's actually not bad. Not the best rhymes, don't you think? Well, this experiment was unsuccessful. We learned that I have no poetic talent after all. Nenio sighs. But it's no reason to despair. Having a gift of poetry in addition to my inexhaustible intelligence would have been a little too much. Besides, I am catastrophically busy and have no time to spend on writing poetry. Cool. Hey, just real quick. I'm pretty sure we already covered this, but my name is Vex Godglove. This is Kaz. You don't have to call me boy. It's weird. I am, in fact, a fully grown adult halfling. On the grand scale of world history, your name is irrelevant. I have no reason to remember it. I don't know, I feel like not getting stabbed is a good reason. You see, the brain of any given individual can only contain a limited amount of facts. I only expend my memory on things that are truly important. The laws of thermodynamics, divine esoterica, planar geography, things that will lead Golarion to a brighter future. Nenio rubs her nose. Besides, what if I make a great discovery, but I won't be able to remember it because my memory is full of outdated or useless information? What a nightmare that would be. What a loss for the whole of Golarion. Well, if it's any consolation, you wouldn't remember it. But you do remember your own name, right? Only so I know what to put for the author's name in my encyclopedia. Sure. Are there any other names that you do think are worth remembering? There are, and to my deepest regret, there are too many of them. Nenio heaves a sigh that would befit a grief-stricken old man. The names of gods and demigods, the names of rulers, conquerors, and other persons by some reason deemed great by the people of Golarion. They etched their names into history, and, alas, every self-respecting educated person must know them. But there are some names I am happy to remember. Great scientists, some of them divine, others mortal, true keepers of knowledge and great experimentalists. The pioneers of knowledge, Irori, Nethys, Arilu Vorlesh. Huh. I didn't expect you to mention Arilu. That's interesting. Oh, you think so too? She is the greatest of the greatest. Just imagine, she managed to open a rift from Golarion to the Abyss. No one knew how. No one believed it possible. No one even dreamed of such a thing. And she just did it. It was the experiment of the century. Nenio wipes a tear from her eye. I would have been so happy if I could have been in her place. Of course, some part of Golarion's population died as the results of her experiment, and the Crusaders are still wrestling with its consequences to this day. But the very essence of what Arilu managed to do was a breakthrough of cosmic significance, both figuratively and literally. Sooner or later, the world wound will be closed. Peace will return to Golarion. As for the victims of the ongoing war, they will be remembered as unfortunate but unavoidable sacrifices made at the altar of science. You know, that is almost optimistic. Nenio blinks at you, perplexed. Were we talking about something? Yeah, we were just talking about you. What exactly is your deal? I am an explorer, a pilgrim, a yet-to-be-recognized scientific luminary, future author of the Encyclopedia Golarionica, and rector of all of Absalom's universities at once. Future rector, I should say. Nenio speaks in one breath, as if reeling off a practiced monologue. That information should be enough to satisfy your curiosity, because I doubt I will be able to tell you more than that. Well, let's not sell yourself short. Where are you from? That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. Okay, how'd you become a scientist? That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. All right, you've got a circle tattoo on your shoulder. What's the deal with that? That information Oh. Nenio cast a sidelong glance at her shoulder. Oh, that. I do not remember the circumstances of its creation, but I do like it. I prefer to think of it as a zero, null, nothing, a center point, an origin of coordinates. It reminds me how much of the unknown of the world there still is to explore. But you don't remember how you got it. That information is irrelevant. I've decided to forget it. Right. How do you do that? How do you just forget things? This is just one of my many talents. The secret is to stop thinking about the thing you want to forget. And the main thing is not to remember anything you don't need. To filter it. To get right to the essence. I'll teach you someday. Unless I forget. Right, yeah. Cool. So what do you remember? Do you remember your parents, your past? All of that is irrelevant on the grand scale of world history. I have no reason to remember such things. Huh. Well, Nenio, I've got to say, normally I would just assume you were some sort of batshit insane Looney Tune or something, but, no, that's pretty much it. Nenio stays silent and gives you a puzzled look. What were we talking about? Yeah, that seems about right. So you said something about an encyclopedia? Ah, the Encyclopedia Golarionica will be published in 100 volumes, 1,000 pages each, plus the author's addenda, appendices added by future co-authors, and critical commentaries. Addenda indexation is still in question. Nenio looks slightly embarrassed. I just like the number 100, but I'm not sure that I'll be able to keep within the established word limit. It will be a magisterial piece of scholarship that will become a part of the mandatory curriculum of every educational institution worth mentioning. In it, I intend to describe every object, item, event, fact, and personality that is present on, or at least somehow related, to Golarion. Oh yes, that does seem entirely reasonable and not at all the fever dream of a madman. My calculations show that I have completed no more than 1% of this monumental book. Well, I guess I'd better let you get back to it then. Huh? What were we talking about? Nothing important. I should go. Side note, she is now listed as a follower of the mad god Nethys, so that does explain quite a bit. Nenio produces a crumpled piece of paper from her sleeve and takes some notes on it. This conversation lasted approximately 5 minutes. She lifts her chin. By the way, did you know that that is the exact same amount of time the Inquisitors of Kenabres need to find a defendant guilty? But to shake off Inquisitors chasing you takes 5 times as long. That experiment proved that running while clad in heavy armor is not burdensome for them at all. Nenio, that is almost useful trivia. Thank you. I mean, it would be useful if all the Inquisitors hadn't spontaneously dropped dead for some reason. But, you know, I'm sure more will show up eventually. Alright, one more conversation, then we'll get back to adventuring. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He is pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot other bandages on his body under his clothes. But even in such a miserable state, he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, "I am Forn Autumnhaze, at your service." His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no signs of pain or fear in his gray eyes. "You're not looking so hot there, buddy. Need help with something? I am for hire." After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. "Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them." Neat. So what was your name again? Thorn Winter something? "My name is Forn Autumnhaze. I've come here from Kionin because I am a hunter, and all minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that, if you don't mind. We are strangers, and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than is necessary." Well, now I have to know more, not because I care, but because you won't tell me. So, out with it. Who wounded you? "A sinner and accomplice to demons. The quarry I am hunting in this inhospitable place." Yeah, and you're doing just a bang-up job from what I can tell. Hey, let's try this again. I'm Vex Godglove. I kill people for money. If you'd like to pay me, I could maybe help you kill someone for money. And as a bonus, you'd get stabbed less. Probably. No guarantees. After a brief pause, Forn says, "It would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer." "I thought you'd see it my way. So please, feed me the details. Who are we trying to kill?" "I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite by the name of Kaylessa. It pains me to admit that there are heinous malefactors such as her among my noble kind. I managed to catch up with her in Kenabres, and I wounded her. Then demons appeared, and the city was engulfed in flames. I was injured in the battle that ensued, and couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters." He expresses no anger or hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. Right. So you suck at hunting." His expression remains indifferent, but his voice is as cold as a mountain stream. "Many underestimate the wisdom and experience that my people acquire over the centuries. I do hope that my opponent will misjudge me as you have." Well, considering that she left you bleeding out in the back room of a filthy tavern, yeah, I'd say probably. You know, I'm actually pretty sure I met her. Forn's melancholic expression remains calm, but his entire body tenses, and his fingers wrap around the handle of his weapon. Under what circumstances? I hope you seized the opportunity to kill her. Before I answer that, exactly how sure are we that she is some sort of deadly cult murderer? Forn lowers his head and says in a hollow voice, "Very. Her misdeeds are terrible and proven with absolute certainty." Gosh, that does suck because, I let her go. But before we start pointing fingers, I think we can both agree that this is mostly your fault for not letting me know ahead of time that I should be looking for this dangerous murderer, eh? After giving you a saddened look, Forn stares off into the distance. Your decision is regrettable. I'm afraid that in doing so, you've condemned her many future victims to death. I suppose it just means that bringing this hunt to a close falls upon my shoulders. Oh, yeah, I'm sure that'll go great. How long have you been sitting back here? Look, why don't you just answer a few questions for me, and we can avoid this kind of wacky mishap in the future. Very well, I won't hold anything back. Not who I am, why I made my way here, or who it is that I'm pursuing. Cool. Do a lot of your hunts end with your quarry stabbing you and getting away? Other people tend to believe that identity is the sum of a person's actions, and the events that happen to them. For them, I am one of a long line of warriors of Kionin, who, since his youth, has dedicated himself to hunting evil and injustice. For them, I am a successful and capable huntsman, who has tracked down and slain a great many monsters. Sure. But I am an elf, and for me, my identity has a different meaning. It is shaped by the place where I was born, and that I love so deeply. I am shaped by what I find beautiful, and what makes my heart quicken, by the fears that come to me in the dead of night, by the things I find so intolerable that at the sight of them, my very core darkens and fills with poison. Thus, to tell you who I truly am, I would require many days and much candor, which is more than you and I have at our disposal. Darn, that is a crying shame. So why'd you become a hunter? Because I am the son of a noble and proud nation. We are sometimes criticized for our arrogance. What? No. But no one dares doubt our honor. When a crime is committed, we cannot turn a blind eye. If we were to abandon our obligation to oppose evil, if we were to surrender this obligation to other races, we would also relinquish our preeminence. Wow, I cannot imagine how you ended up getting stabbed. Speaking of which, how'd that happen again? I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite by the name of Kaylessa. Okay. Now we're just looping. But that is interesting. We ran through this conversation back in the beta with Creed and Kaiser. And it largely played out the same, but because in this case we met Kaylessa ahead of time, it did deprive us of the opportunity to glean a couple of extra potential clues. Most notably the fact that Kaylessa is a drow, as if that wasn't obvious, and that Forn does in fact know that, but for some reason wants to keep it obfuscated. If you ask him to describe Kaylessa, he does so in very circuitous terms, with burnt black skin and blood-red eyes and so on, as opposed to just identifying her by race. Anyway, I think it's time for a little less conversation and a little more rocky road. We're setting our sights on Gwyrm's Mansion today. We're a bit short on time now. Those conversations did run a bit longer than I thought they would, but that's fine. We'll push long if need be. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. Okay, hold on. I neglected to actually rest, which is half the reason we came back here. Okay, let's get that taken care of. This will actually give me a chance to set Waljif as our primary scribe. And we'll get him to work on scribing up some new scrolls for Nenio. Keeping in mind, of course, that her opposition schools are Abjuration and Necromancy.
You know, you could at least try to look like you give a damn about anyone but yourself.
Do my ears deceive me? Is a paladin of Iomedae encouraging me to lie?
Oh, Darren. I do love that guy. Oh, wait. We've got a couple of things going on here. Demons! The demons are attacking! You don't say. Please, talk to Irabeth as soon as you can. Help us defend the tavern. Well, I guess that hidden timer finally finished counting down. I guess it was bound to happen eventually. Though, I thought we had more... Okay. What's going on here? The demons were killed recently. No doubt about that. But it's not clear if it happened here, or if the bodies were brought here from elsewhere. Kaz, you scoundrel. You and your gifts. Well, at least you didn't put it in my backpack this time. Yeah, I guess this is our day. Sorry, Cam. You'll just have to wait till next time. Helpful. Keep an eye on her. Risk, Zorm. Engaged in rigorous intellectual debate, I say. Don't get too comfortable, though. We're going to need you momentarily. On the bright side, this actually does work out pretty nicely, because it still checks something we need to do off our list. And it gives us an opportunity to showcase some of those level ups we just pulled. Let me just reset my timer, and... Okay, let's do this. Irabeth's sword has been honed to razor sharpness. She is on edge, evident in the way she checks the fastenings on her armor, over and over. Thank you for coming to our aid. Ready yourself. The attack is imminent. You're probably more accustomed to fighting in the wilderness than in the city, but I'm sure you won't let us down. The main thing to remember is that there will be a horde of enemies, and they'll attack from every direction. Also, please keep in mind, according to my sources, a master alchemist called Otharubo has recently arrived in the city. He's a well-known character among demon worshippers. We don't expect him to show up personally, but thanks to him, the cultists have been able to prepare a whole cart full of incendiaries. They will try to burn the defender's heart to the ground. The arsonists are the main target. Keep an eye on them, and take them down first, or they'll burn the ground out from under our feet. Lots of bad guys, don't let them burn the place down. Anything else? We're primed and ready to defend this place. The enemy is keeping quiet, but don't be fooled by the lull. The demons have the tavern surrounded. They could strike at any moment. Ah, you worry too much. Trust me, we'll be fine. Iomedae, help us all. This battle won't be easy. I'm pretty happy with this crew. We'll roll with the regulars. I am tempted to take Cam out, if only because Seela is still recovering, but she's also got that new horse now, so that should more than make up for her -1 strength. We'll get plenty of Cam when we go do that Horgus thing, so no sense in overdoing it. Kill the arsonists! But not Ember. Alright, here we go. Now we are going to need some setup time, so we'll gather towards the center of the courtyard, fire off a few quick spells. I believe the battle lasts 20 or 30 rounds, somewhere in that area. So in theory, any spell with a duration of 2 minutes or more should cover us for the whole fight. Of course, we will lose a few randos while we're busy getting ourselves set up, but them's the breaks. I told Irabeth we had this, but she still sent out a bunch of poor random mooks to get mulched in the meat grinder. That's on her, not us. I suppose we'll restrict it to basic defensive casts. Mage armor, shield, communal protection from evil. I believe I just gave that one to Darren. Ooh, and bless. We'll fire off a bless, too. Oh, right, and that'll give us time to mount up as well. That's a movement action. We'll do Veil of Heaven for Sela. And I have to make a note to rearrange our formation next time we go out. Hi there. Oh, look at that. They actually gave them different loadouts. That's a nice touch. We're not really worried about the fighters. We'll kill them when it's convenient, but our main focus is pretty much anyone else who shows up. Right. You're doing great, guys. I believe in you. I wish they let you access the hotbars from inside safe zones. I would have had all that set up in advance. Hey, nice hit. Good for you. Nice, nice. We'll set up our range attackers towards the center here. They should be able to reach everything from there. I guess we should get someone up top, too. before all those poor archers get themselves slaughtered.
The Inheritor, guide my blade!
Oh, looks like Urabeth's guys are on that. I wish them the best of luck. Though we will, of course, still chip in as the opportunity presents itself. Okay, well, I'm loving that spirit, guys, but I do have some notes on how we might stand to improve. Nothing too extreme, just basic stuff like attack strategies, defense maneuvers, not dying immediately upon arrival. I feel like these all might make for some small but notable improvements in our overall performance. And more, rushing for that stairway to heaven. Let's see if we can ease their ascent a little. Well, they are keeping the enemies occupied, so I'll give them that. Okay, let's get Vex and Kaz up top. Though at this point, I think pretty much everyone's dead anyway. And what the heck, we'll get Zorm up there too. He's pretty mobile. And then we'll keep Waljif and Seal apart near the gate for the next wave. More bad guys, please. Well, that was an interesting decision on your part. How'd that work out for you?
Out of my sight!
We're 3 rounds in. We should really be seeing more enemies right now. Oh, hey, we actually do have one archer left up here. Let's see if we can prolong his fleeting existence. And Zorm can just start mopping up. Squeesh. Oh, here we go. Here we go. That was probably not your best move. But I do give you full credit for trying. That was very gutsy. Barbarian incoming, with 2 cultists and 3 dretches right behind him. Nothing to worry about just yet, I think. Oh, did that last archer die? Well, we'll just look the other way then.
I will see to your demise.
We might need someone else down here. Waldriff, why don't you just sit tight for a second? There we go. You may proceed. Yeah, I think we're good. Oh, Waldriff. I'm gonna need you to be slightly harder to hit than that. I did put up a shield spell, right? I guess this is still pretty early in the game, so we don't have much in the way of defensive trinkets. That should help. Cool, I think you just woke that dretch right back up. Thanks for that. Oh my. Not sure Zorm can actually scratch these things, but... Hey, not too shabby. Let's go ahead and clear these things off the board.
Into the fray!
Cultists incoming. Lan. Nice, thank you. Ooh, Darren. Very nice. And I see some arsonists finally showed up, so Let's get someone on that. After they get in their free shots, I guess. Ember, damage control. Thank you, Ember. Vex, Kaz, we need you back down here. Dang it. Well, he got in one more shot, but I'd say he earned it.
You've crossed the wrong mongrel.
Thank you, Lan. That buys us more room to maneuver. And once we drop that unconscious arsonist, the next wave should show up. And that definitely just woke up that dredge. Thanks, guys. Oh, shoot. Okay. Next wave showed up slightly earlier than anticipated. I guess we need you two back up top. Yes, that'll do nicely. Goodness. And here I was actually worried about that DR. Yeah, we better get out there. I don't like going right on top of their spawn zone like that, but we do need to clear those arsonists. I'm sure they've got that. You know what? Their track record would not imply they've got that.
You won't survive me.
Guys, come on. You're killing me. I mean, technically you're killing yourselves, but you're also killing the mood, and that I do not appreciate. Fine. There, it's done. Do better. Maybe get a cat.
Cover me, all right?
The light take you!
Whoop. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. Though we did mostly get initiative, so that's not too bad. Wait, why did Woljif get a free attack there? I'm certainly not complaining, but... Sure, why not? Alright, Vex, let's get you back over here. Ah, just in time. Here's wave 4. Nothing too notable this time around, just that shear on the far end. Okay, looks like we've got some cultists and dretches too.
Endure this!
That almost makes this a fair fight. You're doing great. Just try not to go to pieces.
The Inheritor, guide my blade!
We also need to start creeping back out of that spawn zone. Huh. I didn't realize raptors had a trip attack. Though it does seem to come pretty late in their attack scheme. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that I have never seen that particular death animation before. Wow. Sorry, Woljif. I think the old dagger of liquefaction just isn't going to cut it anymore. Kaz has you beat with the death and dismemberment clause. Oh, okay. 18 damage crit. And just like that, it's serious. Sela, we need you back at the gate, please. Too far for a proper cure, so we'll move up in channel. Vex and Kaz are fine. They've got that. Though there is no accounting for crits.
Stab you or zap you. Why not both?
Interesting.
Make every strike count.
Oh, and there's our next wave of arsonists. Let's tag them before they start bombing stuff. Well, we got one of them. Oh, nice heal. Oof, that's another hit on the tavern. That's what, 20 damage so far? I'm not sure how much it can actually take, or what happens if it gets destroyed. I mean, we've got this thing right in front of us that's telling us Tavern Defense 12, but I don't know what that means.
Distract them for me.
Okay, that's the arsonists again. We'll get Vex on that shear before someone wakes it up. I think we're good.
Precision and grace.
Oh, right. We've still got this Dretch here. Fighters are on their way back. Guess they realize there's no staircase on the other side. Might as well do a little looting while we've got the chance. I'm still unclear if we get this stuff after the fight or not. And it does all add up.
Crossed the wrong line.
I feel like these Neo fighters are getting a little tougher the longer the fight goes on. I don't remember them tanking so much damage before. Yeah, don't try running past a cat. That's just asking for a bad time. Feeling pretty good about combat reflexes right now. Damage could be higher, but we'll shore that up at level 6 with finesse training. Oh shoot, we've got one more wave of arsonists on this side. Okay.
You won't survive me.
Into the fray!
Okay, that should be it for that side. I am mostly just going off what I remember from the beta, and things have clearly changed since then. Though, aside from a few crits, and some generic NPCs, we're doing okay. Oh, shoot. That's a 27 damage crit on risk. Let's get Sela out of there. Actually, I think if we just ease her off the spawn zone, they'll stop attacking her as soon as they show up. Yeah, okay. And there is our last wave. Okay. Let's regroup, grab some loot en route, and wrap this up. Oh boy, yeah, we're already running pretty long. Apparently my timer went off about 15 minutes ago, and I didn't even notice. Hi, part of the tour group? Sorry, we're just closing. But if you'll give us a moment, we'll take care of you real quick before we do. I don't want to overextend Waljif, so we'll take an extra round to regroup.
Endure this!
Nice hit, Lan. Thanks. Oh, shoot. They can attack the tavern from that side, too. Well, I guess we'd better get in there, then. Okay, that takes care of our risk. Dang it. It's going to take us 2 rounds to get to those arsonists. Oh. I may have underestimated the Eagle Watch's abilities. And now it's pretty much done. That's fine. Like I said, we're running a bit long.
Time to share your treasures!
I've also got an ever-expanding clouder of cats lurking just off screen, waiting for me to feed them, so I do need to wrap this up. Ooh, land. Could have used more of that earlier. And there goes the tavern. Though our, I can't help but notice our tavern defenses remains steadfastly at 12. I have no idea what that means.
The light, take you.
So did we lose something, or... I don't know what that did. Well, I suppose we will find out. I'm not making a habit of save scumming on this run. Whatever happens, happens. Short of a full party wipe. That's the dretches. That just leaves the Minotaur and 1 arsonist, I believe. Ember, could you please... Nope, too far. Go away. Or don't. Makes no difference. Huh. So now he's attacking the storage, apparently. Interesting. And I think we're done. In theory, I should be able to coup. Excellent. Huzzah! We are victorious. Except for the, 20 soldiers who needlessly sacrificed their lives. We will always remember you. We won't. Victory! Kenabres bites back, and our teeth are sharp. Irabeth is glowing with zeal, and she raises her fists in triumph. Now we take the fight to them. A huge minotaur broke his horns on a little halfling and his friends. Really, is that the line we're going with? I mean, I guess it's hard to write for a halfling, but seriously? That's right, we taught them a lesson. Irabeth smiles. So what's the damage? Minimal. The battle wasn't easy, but thanks to you, we chewed them up and spat them out again. They thought they could break us, but they only bolstered our spirits. So, you think they'll come at us again? I doubt it. Demons aren't famed for their organization. We'll strike a blow to the Grey Garrison long before they regroup for a new assault. Alright, well, congratulations on the victory, I guess. Well, it wouldn't have been possible without you. That reminds me, we found this among the attackers' remains. This trophy rightly belongs to you. Nicely done. Now our goal is to root the demons in the Grey Garrison, just like we did here. Oh, a heavy flail of weakness, thank you. I will cherish this all the way to the nearest pawn shop. Alright, well, we are pushing 90 minutes, so I think we're at a pretty good stopping point here. That also did get us slightly closer to level 6, though not nearly as much as you would have expected. Not quite what I planned to do today, but that is still one more big item off of our to-do list, so I am certainly not complaining. And we netted about 3, maybe 4,000 gold in the process. Not too shabby. So we will hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of our inventory management off screen, and we will pick up here next time. As we finally dust off Cam, grab her helpful new companion, and go pay a visit to Horgus Gwyrm's mansion. See you then. Oh, and remember, although I do love playing Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous, you can find out more about the game by visiting the official website, the official social media feeds, or the official store pages. And if you'd like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things, or maybe even check out the Patreon. Links are in the description.
You know, you could at least try to look like you give a damn about anyone but yourself.